So I'm here in Design Space. I'm going to show you how I made this project. It's actually pretty simple. I'll show you how to add some text and then get it aligned correctly. So for my ribbon, I wanted to say best Grampy ever. Obviously you can create yours to say whatever you want. So to do this, we're going to click on text and then you can go ahead and type in whatever you're looking for. Let's try happy birthday. And then the font that I use for this project is already pre-selected. It's called DIN 1451. And I'm going to start off by sizing it. I wanted mine to be about 0.5 inches tall. So if you come up here to size, I'm going to leave the lock on and type in 0.5. Perfect. So the iron-on that I'm working with is 23.5 inches long. So I want to duplicate this text 23 inches long and make sure it's all aligned correctly. So that's what we're going to do next. So we can go ahead and up on the right here, I'm going to duplicate the happy birthday. And then we're just going to honestly start lining it up next to each other, if I can get it selected here. It doesn't have to be perfect right away. I'm just kind of get an eyeball of like where you would want it. We're going to go ahead and distribute it evenly at the end. Now we're going to go ahead and highlight all of them. And the first thing I want to do is make sure the space between each happy birthday chunk is the same distance between each of them all along. So we're going to use the align tool and we're going to tell it to distribute it horizontally. And then I want it to be aligned on the bottom, so this is perfectly even. So we'll align bottom. And then we're going to go ahead and click attach right away. So attach tells the Cricut, hey, I want you to cut this exactly as I have it. So we'll click attach in the bottom right hand corner. And now we can go up to size. As you can see, we're just a fuzz over 23.5 inches. So remember, even though you'll be putting 24 inches of material down on your mat, the Cricut actually only cuts 23.5. That's the max that you can cut for the length. So we're going to go ahead, type in 23.5. And then it just adjusted our height just a fuzz. You probably won't even be able to tell. But that is all I did for my text. Super simple, use whatever font, whatever phrase. That's the fun part of working with the Cricut, right? You can customize things. So I'm gonna go ahead and delete this. You can make this project on any machine, but I'm working with the Maker today. So if you need to switch your machine, do that up here. Then we'll click Make It. And I'm gonna go ahead and increase my project copies to 3. So my material is about 3.5 inches wide. I'm just gonna bump these over so that I have space to cut in between them because I'm gonna trim those down to size. And then the last thing that we need to do is make sure we mirror our image. So we'll click on that. When you work with iron-on, you always need to mirror. Then we'll hit continue. We're going to connect to our Maker over Bluetooth and then choose iron-on as our cutting setting. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to cut my fabric down to size. If you already have ribbon that you're using, then you might not need to do this, but I have a ton of this ticking fabric left over, so I'm actually going to turn this fabric into the ribbon. So what I'm doing is I've got it lined up on a rotary cutting mat, and then I've got a big acrylic ruler here and a rotary cutter. So I'm just going to go down and cut it to 1 inch. I'm working with a 24-inch standard grip cutting mat for my iron-on today, and the iron-on I'm using is one of the mini samplers. This is Everyday Iron-On, and it comes in this little 3-pack that looks like this, and they're each 3.5 inches wide and 24 inches long. So if you need to make like small cuts like we're doing today, this is perfect. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and get this applied onto the cutting mat. And remember, with iron-on, there's a shiny side, which is right here, and then a dull side. And we want to make sure we put it shiny side down. So we'll get this lined up and then load it into our machine. So I've got my Maker connected over Bluetooth. We'll get this opened up. And then it is super important to make sure when you're working with your 24-inch mat that you have enough space in front of your Cricut and behind, since this is going to be a really long cut. So we'll get this loaded in. And now we'll get cutting. This will take a little bit of time, so we'll let this go and then I'll follow back up when it's finished cutting. To remove this from the mat, I'm going to flip my mat over and bend the mat back while I hold the iron-on straight. Now I'm going to trim my iron-on, so I'm just cutting it down to size. And then from here, we're going to weed our design. So we're going to remove the excess vinyl from around the letters and also inside of them. And make sure that you're weeding from this dull side, so it should still look backwards as you're weeding. And this will be a little bit time consuming, but thankfully weeding iron-on I think is the easiest thing to weed. I'm just going to start in a corner and just kind of pull and work my way down. So now I have pretty much removed it from all around the letters, and now I'm going to go inside of the letters with my weeder tool and remove the inside of the letters as well. So we're all finished weeding our first one. Here's what it looks like from the back side, and then obviously when we place it on our ribbon, it's going to be face down like this. So I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of this weeded, and then the next step is going to be to apply it to our fabric. So this is the Cricut Heat Guide. If you are working with an Easy Press machine, I highly recommend using this. It's a fantastic resource. So what we're gonna do, I will put the link for this in the description below, but you'll click on the Easy Press Mini or whatever Easy Press you're using. And then our heat transfer material is everyday iron-on, and our base material is muslin. Select those, hit apply. And then it's going to tell us all the instructions that we need to know. We need to preheat for 5 seconds. And then we're going to put our mini on the medium heat setting, and then we'll press for 30 seconds with constant movement and light pressure. And then it says to flip and press for 15 seconds. To be honest, I am recording this part after I did the ribbon, and I actually did it wrong, but it still worked out. So this is what you should do. You'll see in a second that I actually preheated for 15 seconds, pressed for 30, and I didn't heat the back at all. And it still worked out perfectly. But I just don't want to confuse you and lead you astray, so just know that I actually made a mistake and had the wrong heat settings, but hey, it still turned out perfectly. So just keep that in mind, and we'll get going from here. So like I just showed you according to the heat guide, I'm going to turn this on, and we'll get it onto the medium setting. And then I just wanted to kind of talk through quick how I'm thinking this will work. Obviously, we want to keep the ribbon straight when we're applying on our text. So what I'm going to do is just go like maybe 2 phrases at a time, and then I'll apply those, and then we'll just work like chunk by chunk is what I'm thinking, other than trying to do all 24 inches at one time. So we'll just do 2 at a time, and then when those finish, then we'll just scoot our ribbon down, and then we'll do the next 2. So I'm gonna let this get preheated, and then we'll give this a shot. All right, so we've got it all preheated, and first thing we're going to do is preheat our fabric for 15 seconds. So I'm just gonna try and get a good idea of all that I need to preheat, pretty much about this whole chunk. So I've got a stopwatch right here, otherwise you can just count in your head for 15 seconds. All right, so now it's preheated. I'm going to get this applied on, and obviously we're gonna do our best to keep this straight. The lines actually on this fabric I think will help to be able to get it lined up. Just place it down. And then I'm actually going to take some heat resistant tape and place it on top of where I've ended, just to help keep it in place. So now we're gonna go for 30 seconds, and it says light pressure and constant movement. So I've got my timer going, and here we go. All right, that was 30 seconds. And now be careful because that's gonna be really hot. And then we'll go ahead and get this next chunk lined up. It does say to do a warm peel. I'm just gonna let it cool down just a little bit. And I think by the time I get this next one lined up, then I'll be able to peel. Now we're gonna preheat this next section and then repeat the following steps. All right, so I've got this lined up again. Again, I did 2 of the best Grampy ever. I'm gonna apply that tape down, and then we'll go over this for 30 seconds. I'm just gonna restart my watch, and here we go. All right, so we're all done with our first 24-inch chunk, and it does say to do a warm peel, and originally I was gonna peel chunk by chunk, but I decided to leave it. I wanted to keep it straight, so we're gonna see how this turns out. So I'm gonna start peeling away at the carrier sheet from the end that I started with, and it should peel off really nicely for you, just like this. If as we go we're finding that some letters maybe didn't stick very well, then we'll go back over with the mini again, but just go nice and slow. This is coming off perfectly, so you can wait and do a cool peel. Seems to be just fine. And the reason I wanted to leave it as a cool peel is because I wanted to keep this 24-inch strip all together so that it was straight. All right, that turned out perfectly. I am so excited about this. So here's what it looks like close up with the iron on. And now I just need to finish with the rest of my iron on this end, and then I'll get it wrapped around my gift. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish the rest, and then I'll show you what it looks like when it's all done.